This will be a fairly comprehensive video that talks about how to use discussion forums in one's class. And I will point out that since this is on YouTube and they now have the affordance that if you go to the base of the video, you'll see a big progress bar that's broken into sections. So if you don't want to hear all of this, please go to the base of that and just sort of mouse over the sections at the bottom of that bar, and you can click to the point that you would like. First of all, I'm going to describe basically the use of the forums, and there are basically 4 or 5 kinds. When I say 4 or 5, there's one that basically is the same, just with a slight variation. So there's really 4 kinds of forums that I'm going to be describing. But the other thing that faculty need to know is how to set these up to most readily grade them. If you've got a small class with a lot of discussion and it's very sort of collegial, then you'll want to probably use a different kind of format than if you have 3 classes of 30 people and you really have to look at efficiency for how you grade discussion. So I'm going to talk about the 4 kinds of discussions, and then I'm going to talk about how to grade these, and there are several ways, and I'll walk through those. And then I'm also going to touch base initially on something called ratings and why you probably don't want to use that feature at all. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start this by showing something I'll explain a little later in more detail, but in the settings for every one of these discussions, you'll see this option well down here in the middle of the settings. It says ratings, and it says what kind of ratings. Ratings are something that allows instructors to look at every single entry and put a rating, a little score on that. If you choose this and you choose to grade, you're going to get both. I encourage instructors not to use ratings because there's no sense having 2 methods for grading something, and between regular grades and ratings, regular grading is a whole lot more efficient. So just right out of the gate, I'll start with that. And now let's go on and I'll show you each type of forum one at a time just real quickly, and then I'll go into detail later in the tutorial. There are 2 types of standard forum for general use, but they basically look and act much the same. I'll just show real quickly. For this one, I have it set up so they have to start one discussion and have 2 replies. You'll notice the student version says that they have to start one discussion, they have to post 2 replies. To add a discussion topic, they click this. Don't confuse this search forums blank for anything that has to do with that. It's just really, I would say, bad format. But the student will see this, they'll come on here, they'll hit an add discussion topic, or if they want to reply to somebody, they will come down here. You can see Beagle by Betty Benson has already had 7 replies. Okay, to see that, the student will click this, and now they're in that discussion topic, and they can scroll down and add information and replies to each other or to the initial poster. So the standard forum for general use allows students to reply to one another. It also allows them to start their own discussion topic. That is different than some of the others, and we'll see those. But the standard forum for general use, just so you know, if you have some reason why you want each person to start their own discussion topic or to start their own heading, and then put something in about it and have people reply to each individual's heading, then this would be a good one for you. As I've said, the other kind of standard forum is this one that says it's in a blog-like format, and that primarily is something that's going to show up a little different on the student side, and that looks like this. And I'm not certain why it's more valuable, but this is the student view. As I scroll down here, this student view, this is a student seeing that this student has 7 replies. And what I do as a student is I come down here to discuss this topic, and that opens this topic, and then I can reply to my fellows while I'm in there like that. That is the primary difference between the 2, and I won't pursue it further during this tutorial. The next forum topic we'll cover is a single simple discussion. In this, I'll point out that what one does is they put up the topic they want their students to respond to, and those students don't put up their own topic, like what kind of dog, so they all have a different type of dog. Instead, this is one where you're bringing up something, you want them to discuss what you have brought up. And when you put up your discussion topic like this is just the description that I put in as I created this. This is what the students will see, and then the word reply will be down here. And this is what that looks like. This is the students open this up. They see there's a prompt here, and the instructor says, share your thoughts about the value of paper currency versus digital currency. I don't want them to have their own topic in this. I want them all to reply to me. So I'll hit reply as a student, and then I'll start one of these threads. Now, you might want to give that direction when you're choosing this, because the student, when they get there, if they're the first one there, they're only going to see yours, and they need to know there isn't a discussion topic possibility here. So they'll hit reply, and you might ask them to reply to your prompt first. But that's a single simple discussion, and this is what the students see, and you can see this is a nested view on how that goes together, and we'll discuss that further in a moment. After single simple discussion, the name of this forum is Each Person Posts One Discussion. So if you have something that you want each person to state something that they believe initially, and then have people reply to that, but you want to have, basically, if you have a dozen students, you then have a dozen people who write a dozen different topics. Now, in this one, say it's a cooking class, and I ask each student to post a recipe. So what we see here is Irina has posted taco, and if I click into this, I'll see what Irina says, and then I'll be able to respond to that. And then likewise, the other students, I can click and see that. However, I am required, because the instructor asked me to, I'm asking each student to start their own discussion. So I'm currently logged in as Gary, and Gary hasn't posted yet. So Gary will have to come over and tap Add Discussion Topic. This is expected because he was asked to start his own discussion. So I'll come down here and I'll put in Gary's information, and then he will have his recipe up, and then they'll be able to discuss that. So if there's some logic in your discussion that you want everyone to state an opinion or everyone to state a topic initially, that topic will be displayed, and then students will be responding to one another, not necessarily to an instructor prompt. So that's the distinction there. The final discussion type is the Q&A forum. Now, the Q&A forum is different for two reasons. The first reason that you need to know as a faculty member is you yourself, after creating the forum, you have to go in and then respond to it so the students can reply to you. It doesn't make sense, but they've been doing that way all along, so please be conscious of that. The second thing that makes this unique is that students can't see one another's responses until they themselves have responded. So I'm going to show you first what will happen if you don't put in your own response and a student gets there. So here's the Q&A forum. Here's the prompt that we want. The prompt says, please share the topic for your research paper. And we don't want them to see what their topic is for research paper until they have posted their own. So that's the logic. However, I've got this posted and ready to go, but if a student goes there now, when I haven't set up a response, this is the student view. The student logs into it, but it doesn't give them any place to reply or to start a topic. I don't know why this is designed, but we get this complaint with some regularity from faculty. So please be aware that if you're using this forum, what you have to do is go to the forum that you created. And I'm going to copy this because this is what I want to share as my first reply. I'm just going to click into the forum as though I were a student. And now as an instructor, I get add a discussion topic. So I click into the Q&A forum, and then I put this in there. And now I've got that ready. And now this is the student view again. The student this time, when they go to the Q&A forum, and he doesn't see other postings, yet other people have posted. So he tries to go to Irina's, and he can't, because it turns out it says you don't have permission to view that in this forum until he posts and waits half an hour. And they have to basically click into that and then reply to you. But then he'll be able to put his reply in here, and that will post to the forum. And half an hour later, when he checks back in, he can see the posts of others. So that's an overview of the 5 kinds of discussions there are. And the following video will show you the student view for those discussions, and really how they get around in that should determine at some level which is going to be the best for you to use. And then lastly, I'm going to have a video on settings, so you can go through and sort of look at how all the settings, both the settings for the LMS and the settings for the discussion itself, in terms of what's going to be best for you. And with that said, I hope this was helpful.